Okay, we will call this council meeting of April 10th to order. And I would like to acknowledge that we're holding this meeting on the unceded lands of the Mi'kmaq. And let's stand for the singing of O Canada. O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all our thoughts common, with glowing hearts we see the arts of true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. You guys were whispering. They were whispering.
Your band don't sound the same. I don't think they'll hire us back at the Red Knight.
No, I don't. I don't. Okay, record of attendance, and Councillor Cleveland is online with us. So we're all here. Declarations of conflict of interest, anyone? Understanding you can certainly declare at the time of the agenda item. We're good for now, okay. And approval of the agenda, please. Okay. Councillor Lacroix, Councillor Bell. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, approval of minutes. We have Town Council March 13, 2025. Deputy, Councillor Hatfield. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Committee of the Whole, March 27th. Councillor Lesser, Deputy Mayor, discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And Special Town Council, April 3rd, please. Councillor Lacroix, Deputy Mayor, any discussion on this one? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Any business arising out of those minutes? Nothing there. Okay, new business. So 11A, RFP result. The recommended motion is that council award the request for proposals for the wastewater treatment plant phase 2 design to CBCL Limited for $1,179,308 plus HST. Okay, Councillor Lesser, seconded by Councillor Lacroix. Go ahead.
Just a quick question. Do we know what the scope of labor is for that contract? Pardon? Yeah, like what's included in the...
So this is the major project that has to be undertaken in order to remain compliant with the federal regulations and federal standards for wastewater effluent. So we have to do a complete retrofit of the plant, plus add an additional phase of treatment. The estimated budget for the entire project is approaching $40 million. The design phase is where we're at right now. We'll create the designs and have it essentially tender ready, and we're actively seeking federal and provincial partnership for the eventual capital cost. Okay.
Good. Any more questions? Councillor Hatfield?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just wondering, usually when you go out with a request for proposal, you have kind of baselines around what you think it might cost. I'm just wondering if you can comment on where this came in terms of what our expectations were.
I'm going to say that I've had no comments from the engineer that the pricing was was outside of expectation. So if it were, I would have expected to have had that comment, yeah.
Okay, anyone else? We're good? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried, thank you. Okay, the Yarmouth South Playground Proposal Plan. The recommended motion there is that council approve the proposed plan for the South Playground revitalization. Councillor Lesser? Councillor Lacroix? Any discussion on this one? Go ahead, Deputy.
I know we had probably about 20 or 30 out to South Church the night that we did this, and I see some of the ideas that came out of that are here. Obviously, budget constraints, you can only do so much at a time. I'm just wondering if we do go to a further phase, if we would have another public engagement. This kind of is for the pavilion and a few things, but if we got into more of a kind of plan structure, I guess, or what would actually be there if we added, if there would be an opportunity, I think, for the public to come back out, that would be good. At least what stands here is great. I think we move forward with this, but I do think there's a part the public should play, towards kind of completion, or maybe, phase 2 if we do get there.
Yep, so if I may.
Certainly.
Yeah, Your Worship, so the Director of Operations wanted to get this to council. It's been a while since we had that consultation, and spring is here. He is anxious to get moving, to get the tender out for the open air pavilion if council was in agreement to move forward with that. He will be present at the committee of the whole meeting, and I think we should have a further discussion about additional pieces and parts and process around this, but he wanted to get this much to you and get the process going. So I think that'll fall in line with your thinking.
Good. Any more questions? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And then 11C, capital budget, that council approved the capital budget for 2025-26. Moved and seconded. Discussion. Just looking for my number. Okay, we'll have a communications has release coming out tomorrow. Go ahead, Deputy.
Just to thank you to Jerry. A lot of this is really heavy, the financial stuff, and as you can see, the way he breaks it down and makes it a lot easier for us and the public to see kind of where we're at, and not only just what we're doing in this year, but what we have planned for 10 years out. So the foresight to kind of see forward and to make it very easy for everybody to read is a big thank you to him and his the people that work under him and the hard work that they do. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just wanted to note that the capital budget this year is for about $5.5 million, and that we are taking out in depreciation about $2.3 million each year. So that $2.3 million is money that we're taking out of our revenues and putting aside to help fund capital projects. And I'm not sure, but I don't think that amount has changed a lot in the last few years. And I'm just making an observation that we are funding $5.5 million in capital projects this year, but we're only putting aside $2.3 million from our revenues, and it may be over the next while, it may be appropriate for us to have a conversation about perhaps increasing that in future years.
Yeah. So the other piece to that, thanks for bringing that up, is the conversation around just the general understanding that much money doesn't cover what it used to. So we are covering a lot more, same number, but less impact with that number. So we really need to have that conversation. Did you want to say anything to that, CAO? It's a really important piece.
No, it's I couldn't agree more. I think the point is bang on, and I think the number of years is probably in the 17 to 18 years. We've been right around the $2 million mark in terms of taking money from our current year tax levy and putting it into the capital fund. And, you know, there's nothing that we were buying 17, 18 years ago that we're buying for the same price today.
Exactly. Yeah. So under that capital budget, I will just give some highlights, and we'll see that tomorrow as well when it comes out. The wastewater treatment plant, and you can see that we just made the motion on the almost $1.2 million for the consultant services. So we are going to invest just over 1.9 with the province and the town of Yarmouth, each contributing $991,000. So that's happening there. Water Street Underground Project, housing development has basically triggered that, but it was needed regardless. So that work will happen on Water Street between Gardner and Richards Lane. That total investment is $715,000. Mariners on Main, we own that as the town, and we're proud to own it. We have to understand that roof is old, so 40 years old at least, and it has to be replaced. So we have to invest $630,000 to Mariners on Main just for the roof. Ferry terminal upgrades at a 2025-26 investment of $220,000. Fire services is $1.170 million. That'll go towards replacing 3 trucks. And I do want to make sure that everyone understands, you know, it's important the public understands. That's $1.17 million out of a $4.5 million total cost. So that's only for 1 year times 3 years. So $4.5 million over 3. Investments in snow removal equipment, that's $220,000 for the plow truck and the sidewalk plow. Street paving, the investment there will come in around $450,000. And that includes $250,000 carried over from last year. And we did, as a council, agree with the curling club renovations, and you know that's in the community. So council committed to a 3-year plan to provide $100,000 annually. So that was $300,000 there, but $100,000 in this budget. I think there are other, you know, smaller pieces, but that's basically what this capital budget is about. Capital, basically, and to Councillor Hatfield's point, we need to make sure that we kind of keep up and take a peek at that again. So I'm sure everybody's going to want to do that. So any questions? We're good on the budget? So we're about to pass it if not. Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, so we have reports, council advisory, so committee of the whole. Deputy Mayor, you want to take that?
I recommend a motion that council support the replacement of the ice pad in Arena 1 and commit to finance the replacement based upon the cost sharing formula in the intermunicipal agreement.
Okay. Okay, moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried.
Recommend a motion that council purchase six picnic tables from the O2 program.
So moved, seconded. Discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Recommend a motion that council purchase 2 accessible picnic tables.
So moved, seconded. Go ahead, Councillor Dares.
Yeah, just a comment that I think in future we should probably consider anytime we purchase picnic tables for the parks or public lands, that they be at a minimal accessible for people with mobility issues, and in some cases preferably wheelchair accessible. but I think all the tables that we purchase in the future should fall within those guidelines.
Good. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Oh, good, thank you. Okay, citizen advisory, planning advisory. Councillor Cleveland, you want me to do this, or you want to?
I can do it if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
All right. Thank you very much, then, Your Worship. First recommended motion that council approve first reading to consider the proposed development agreement to convert 8 James Street into a 12-unit residential development and approve the proposed development agreement, which shall be substantially of the same form as set out in attachment 1.
Okay, so moved. Do I have a seconder? Okay, moved and seconded. And so we did, this was done at PAC on Monday or Tuesday. We're getting lost. It was Tuesday evening. And this, I'm sure everyone's read this, but this is 12, up to 15, because we could add an extra 3, which would be even bonus. Yeah, so this is great. Okay, any questions? Go ahead there, Councillor.
No, just that I think it's worth noting that this is a project of the Affordable Housing Association of Nova Scotia and the former Sunset Terrace.
It's a great project. Councillor Hatfield?
Yeah, and with regard to Sunset Terrace, I know that the community has had a lot of concerns since the old ladies' home closed about what the future of that Victorian era building was going to be. And I think it's important to note that the Affordable Housing Association's intention is not just to, sort of hive up the existing building and make, 12 apartments. This is a major retrofit which will meet their energy efficiency goals and other goals. And so, I'm just so pleased. And it was already, I think, zoned for 8 units. So this is just allowing them to expand the number of usable units in order to make it more fiscally sustainable. So really terrific news for us that we were able to save that heritage building. Thank you.
It's a big one. Any more comments, questions? And keep in mind our planners here if there's any questions. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Recommended motion that council approve first reading to consider a proposed amendment to the land use bylaw to rezone PID number 90334780 and PID number 90334798 from low density residential R1 zone and residential holding RH zone to high density residential R3 zone. B, approve first reading to consider proposed development agreement to permit a multi-residential development at the above noted PIDs. And C, approve the proposed land use bylaw amendment to rezone at the above noted PIDs as outlined in attachment 2, and provisionally approve the proposed development agreement, which shall be substantially of the same form as set out in attachment 4. And all those attachments, for those who are listening, can be found if you go to our Town of Yarmouth site and go to the agenda. It's all there for you.
Perfect. So moved. Seconded. Discussion? Okay. Oh, this is an exciting one too. And I have to say, the developer was at the planning meeting. He was excellent. He answered a lot of questions. Loves working with our planner, but who doesn't, right? We've got the best here. So it was really exciting to see what's happening on there. How many times have we driven by, across from NSCC and saw that empty field and think, oh, the potential. So we're really excited about this one. Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, and on that note that, once again, on the affordable housing aspect, there was assurance that 25% of the units in that project, which proposes up to 140 units, that 25% would be affordable.
Yeah.
More
That's a
good
big
news.
number.
Yeah,
Up-
more,
up.
yeah.
Yeah, 140 units if it comes to that. Okay, so moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Okay,
Thank you. Recommended motion that Council A approve first reading, consider the proposed development agreement to permit adaptive reuse of 52 Parade Street with the intent to develop an integrated multi-purpose medical academy, and B, approve the proposed development agreement, which shall be substantially of the same form as set out in attachment 3.
moved and seconded. Discussion?
Your worship?
Yeah, go ahead.
Your worship, I just want to signal to council that among staff, we've had a bit of a discussion with the traffic authority and with the planner concerning access and egress from Parade Street. And prior to the public hearing, we may come with a slight amendment to the development agreement for you. So I didn't want to surprise you. We'll try to get the wording out. If we decide there's something warranted there, we'll try to get that out to you well enough ahead of the next meeting so that you can absorb it, consider it, and the public will have access to it as well.
Okay, we're good to go ahead with this, though?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Is everybody all right with that? Okay. Any discussion besides? Okay, all those in favor? Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Recommended motion that Council A approve first reading to consider the proposed amendments to the municipal planning strategy and the land use bylaw, including rezoning of 42 Argyle Street from low-density residential R1 zone to local commercial C4 zone. B, approve first reading to consider the proposed development agreement to permit reuse of 42 Argyle Street with the intent to accommodate a new restaurant. C, approve the proposed amendments to the municipal planning strategy and land use bylaw as outlined in attachments 3, 4, and 5. And D, provisionally approve the proposed development agreement, which shall be substantially of the same form as set out in attachment 6.
Okay, so moved. Can I have a seconder? Moved and seconded. Discussion. So, do you want to go first?
I can go. I don't need to go first.
I was at planning advisory, well, 3 of us were, and I did make mention of the timelines. Little bit of an issue with the timelines because I for a number of reasons. So hoping we can not halt the progress and the process, but maybe move things a little tighter so you can.
Yeah, so that's what I hope to address and advise council again. Staff also heard and have concerns about the timeline, the milestones that were associated with this project. And so, again, prior to the public hearing, we're going to reconsider whether and how those might be tightened up and what milestones might be added, and we'll circulate to council ahead of the public hearing and make available to the public the amendments to the development agreement as it's presented tonight. I'm going to also say that I know there are concerns about the aesthetics of the property and in some respects safety. And I'll share with council that I've met with staff by law enforcement, talk about dangerous and unsightly, and there's activity on that front as well. And that is a concern and it's a challenge, but we're looking at that on that front too. That's all I want to say at the council meeting.
Good. Did you want to?
So I guess a few questions maybe for Martin. So from what I read, I believe that the completion of this would be 2028? Is that the hope or?
Thank you. Yes, Your Worship, as currently drafted, that's what's in front of you. However, as CEO just mentioned, we will endeavor to explore a few ways to not only tighten up timelines, but also add additional milestones beyond the signing of the development agreement, beyond issuance of requirement require permits, and beyond the occupancy sort of issuance. So there could be something in between where we could get more nuanced, perhaps, and better reflect what may be needed for this site given its condition and history. So as CEO mentioned, we will try to, or we'll endeavor to give you something and the public relatively soon so that you can consider and weigh that amendment prior to or after public hearing, I should say.
So as far as setting milestones or whatnot, within the agreement, if these milestones weren't met, would that mean the development agreement wouldn't continue to go on, or?
Correct. It depends on, at what point do you sort of, or at what point the applicant landowner would decide not to follow through. So say the agreement gets approved by council in whatever form, however, it's never signed. If it doesn't happen within, as of right now, 90 days or any other number of days that we will look at or consider for your consideration, there's no development agreement. Say if the development agreement gets signed, gets registered, however, the permits are not obtained in the respective timelines, there's a couple options. One of them is that the site essentially reverts back to the land use bylaw and the development agreement becomes null and nullified, essentially void. Or the way it's written right now, there's ability for the applicant to apply for extension. However, that extension would have to be considered by council.
Thank you. I think that's the big thing for me, the timeline. I think it's been 15 years or more. There was some progress. Regardless of how much, there was a little bit of siding and whatnot that kind of went on, but it is an eyesore. It's a busy street. You drive by there quite a bit, and the quicker I guess we could get to it, it just seems like we're gonna, and permits and permits and permits, and at the end of the day, we have a building that continues to sit there and not in the best shape. As far as structural goes, is that on the owner to I guess go through or to make sure? Safety, I guess, is my big issue. I don't know, you probably were around when the Odeon fell, but at the end of the day, the structural, the safety, there's bus stops, there's kids that walk by there. It's a very highly traveled area, and I guess structure is something that I worry about because windows were busted out and rain and water and whatnot. So I'm just wondering, structurally, has there been anything done with that, or will there be?
As a town and as a building official, or our building official, there's a capacity to request information pertaining to the quality or integrity of the structure of the building. There have been some of the material provided a couple of years ago with several recommendations. We may consider potentially requesting an update to that information that's already out there, just to ensure that not only the outside, but mainly the structure, as he said, is still in a shape that it needs to be, and I think that's what I'm going to leave it at.
And the other big one for me, I think, is parking. So I believe we have a standard within the town itself, but I just wonder, there's not a lot of room around there. I know there's a lot across the street that is open, and I don't know if there's an idea that would be purchased or whatnot, but when I see kind of what goes on Main Street up by Blueberry Fields, and it concerns me if if people are going to be parking on the side of the street there, if we don't have the foresight to make sure that there is proper parking there available.
No, that's a fair comment, a fair question. No doubt, there's zero parking spaces on site. There may be one just for the benefit of the owner operator, but that's it. What I will say is, I always say, always as a planner would like to have a parking problem with a development, then no parking problem without development. That's not to say that the business owner, in my discussions with them, they're obviously interested in being successful. They're contemplating a range of strategies and avenues to manage a parking situation that they know of. That may or may not include potentially engaging the town in purchasing land in nearby. That may include finding ways how to leverage right-of-way parking that's nearby the site. So they're very much aware of it. It's in their interest to be successful. I think they've heard some of the opposition or concerns regarding parking loud and clear. But that's really where we're at as a town and a person responsible for recommendation to planning committee and ultimately council. I didn't feel it would be appropriate to burden this already challenging situation of an adaptive reuse with requiring some type of mandatory on-site or off-site parking. And that is a purely from a planning principle and perspective, not a unique approach in many ways. This approach where you have existing older buildings existing in neighborhoods, they often lack the ability to park on-site and so forth. So this is a fairly standard practice. I merely just stuck with that, adopted it, and recommended that we do not seek on-site or off-site parking as part of the development agreement. Obviously up to the council to decide whether that's appropriate in this case. That's just some of the background that sort of led to that recommendation and what's in the agreement. Hope that helps.
So for me, I appreciate timelines and the want to move forward with this. And I guess from what's been discussed from the CAO and yourself, if parking could be in there, if timelines could be, set, if we could really make sure that this is going to move forward or it doesn't and we go in another direction, I'm willing to vote in favor of this tonight. But as this comes back in the public hearing in the second reading, I'll be a little more expectations. It will be very high of what we're going to approve. But tonight I will be in principle approving it. And I thank you for all the work, because that was a lot to read and I know it wasn't easy to do, and I appreciate the work that you do and your explanations when you're asked. It makes our job a lot easier, so thank you.
Welcome.
Can I just, I'm just going to respond to one piece. Completely the timelines, because that's just, you're right. Like it's been so many years, not the same owner, but so many years. The safety piece goes quite a bit to the ability to kind of, I want to say, quash the fears of the neighbors. Like their children are walking by and they hear the stories about things blowing around, which we don't know if that's true or not. Could have been true in the past, but they've done some work. But that whole safety piece is and aesthetics. It looks awful. The parking one, we don't ever disagree, but the parking one, it was a church forever, and people found a place to park. They always found a place to park. I know Blueberry Fields has been an issue, but I think when we paint those lines and say you can't park, you can only park from here to here, and I agree, and everybody we respect all the opinions. That's how council always comes to the best decisions. But I agree with what you're saying about the planning, not dictating the parking. There's going to be parking. And it's like we set out to what was on Stars Road, and we said, why are we telling them you have to have so many parking spots? If they don't have parking spots, people aren't going to come. So you kind of have to have a way to make that happen, but there's so much room on all those. That's just how I just think that way. But I mean, I respect that people want to see the parking issue happen, but I guess I don't, because I think it would just stop the project. But yeah, people will find a place. They always did, and there were a lot of people in that church. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. Just with regards to the parking issue, it's just a reminder that, like, for instance, Neptune Theatre, there is no parking for Neptune Theatre. Like, you have to, it's in an urban environment and it works. People still go to the theater. My interest is more along, so I need a little history lesson. How many times has that property flipped?
Last.
I mean, we did own it at one point, right?
Exactly.
Never owned it? Okay, so it didn't ever go up for tax sale?
It's been purchased at tax sale.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when it's purchased at tax sale, we don't own it before I gotcha, I understand, that's also because we're splitting hairs. But it has flipped a few times. Like how many times?
At least 3 in the last
15 years?
5 years. 5 years.
And if we agree, if we approve the development agreement and the other changes, that development agreement goes with the property regardless of who owns it, that's right.
Correct,
Yeah.
unless some of the milestones have
Right,
not been
are not met.
Correct.
Gotcha, okay. So the milestones are really what I am focused on, because my concern is what would happen if the current owners put it on the market and flipped it after the development agreement is signed. If they realized at some point that we can't do it, I mean, people get in over their heads sometimes, no fault of their own, but if that were to happen and they put it back on the market, my worry is we're kicking the ball down the road, for another 5 or 10 years, but that's why the milestones are so important to me, because the milestones will also be maintained with the development agreement if the property changes hands. That it doesn't start from ground zero again, right? Yeah. Okay. So that's my thinking in terms of approving this proposal, because I think the highest use for that building is to see it repurposed. It has felt for a long time like a long shot, because it is in bad condition, but vision is an amazing thing, and these people have vision and they have drive, and if they can accomplish it, I'm fully in support of that. So, thank you.
Good. Anyone else?
Your worship, if I could.
Go ahead, Councillor.
I'll give you my 2 cents worth, and I guess with inflation could be as much as a nickel. A few things when it comes to this particular property. To me, the parking part of it isn't my first priority. Maybe down the road becomes a priority, but at this point it doesn't. But right now we have a building that's in terrible shape. It looks awful and has looked awful, as everyone has said for the past probably 15 years or so. It is a problem. The thing is that we need to have this taken care of in some way, shape, or form. And my mind, on a much smaller scale, goes to the potentially future restaurant that now sits on the corner of Albert and Main Street. A building gets kind of dropped down in the middle of that, and it looked horrible for a period of time there, where everybody said, oh my gosh, what is this? And if you go by there now, it looks fine. There's work to be done still, but the workers came in, they got it done, it looks okay, so the fear goes away. With this particular venture, if you will, if they can address these issues right away as their top priority, get the outside looking halfway decent so it doesn't look like an eyesore, make it safe, then we're that much further along, and then they can worry about the inside. But it's about the timeline to make sure that part of it is taken care of, and then the pressure can ease up. They can take their time on the inside, making sure everything goes. But it's long enough, and we are very grateful. In my mind, I'm grateful to see someone looking to develop that, because if they're not there, who's going to be? Is it going to end up in our hands? And if this fails within the next period of time, if they don't make those timelines as they're laid out, and I hope that they are, I want to see those timelines, and I hope they are laid out in a reasonable fashion for us, not just for them. If that happens, it's wonderful. If not, it's a whole other conversation of what the town is going to have to do about that building. So to me, let's get those timelines in place. Let's make the outside and the safety a priority so it doesn't look like an eyesore, and kind of go from there.
Thank you. Councillor Dayers?
Thank you. If there's one caution I think I'd like to provide, it's looks can be deceiving. And I know that building is unsightly, and I've preached from this desk more than once about the fact that it's not fair to the neighborhood. But I will say this, 25 years ago or more, I guess almost 30 years ago now, my wife and I purchased a house that was slated for demolition. And we were told by numerous people, it can't be done. I'm proud to say that that house is registered provincially and municipally, has a heritage property. It won the Heritage Restoration Award for the year that it was restored. And it's a heritage home sitting at the head of the harbor, which is going to be maintained and has been maintained well into the future. So let's not abandon the fact. I mean, it might look ugly, but you know, I think it's certainly a doable project. And I don't want to do anything that would discourage the present owners.
Thank you. Councillor Lesser?
Yeah, just on what Councillor Cleveland said, I think the safety of the building would be my biggest concern, and hopefully that's not an issue. But I think the second part is what Councillor Cleveland said is getting the outside done would go a long way towards the neighborhood. It was when they were putting the siding on, driving by, it was exciting to see it, and all of a sudden the crew was gone, and there was a little bit of a different color siding on that doesn't even finish the entire tower. Which, when I read the plan, it also, I don't think that's the color they're planning on keeping it. I don't know if they're planning on painting the siding or not, but it talks about a peacock blue, and I don't think that's peacock blue. But I guess my biggest concern is if we can put any pressure on timelines, getting the outside done would go a long way towards, you know, keeping the residents in that neighborhood a bit happier than what's currently happening.
Good. Anyone else? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Last one, I promise. Municipal Planning Strategy and Land Use Bylaw Amendments. And the recommended motion is that Council A, approve first reading to the proposed amendments to the Land Use Bylaw and associated amendments to the Municipal Planning Strategy to encourage comprehensive housing projects by revising requirements for site plan approvals in CD zone. B, approve first reading to the proposed amendments to the Land Use Bylaw and associated amendments to the Municipal Planning Strategy to update reviews and approvals of boarding homes. C, approve first reading to the proposed amendments to the Land Use Bylaw to offer additional flexibility for agricultural uses in CD and RH zones. D, approve first reading to the proposed amendments to the Land Use Bylaw and approve the proposed amendments to the Land Use Bylaw and the Municipal Planning Strategy as outlined in attachments 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, that was a whole lot of words for some amendments, but if anybody wants to take a look at those, they are all available by going to our agenda and finding them attached there.
Okay. So moved and seconded. Discussion, go ahead, Councillor.
Just a quick question on process. I'm just, so as I understand, for A, B, C, and D, we're approving first reading, and then under E, we're approving the amendments that were just identified. Correct? So this is it? They're approved? Okay,
no.
so that's what I'm trying to...
Yeah.
It just the way I read it is... It's confusing me, that's all. Thank you.
No, if that's the case, I apologize. All it's trying to say is, again, I separated the motion per the categories of amendments we're suggesting. So those would be the A, B, C, and D. What the last one really says, I believe, is just essentially says, approve it. Don't just give it first reading, approve it. Essentially trying to summarize what we're recommending, or what PAC at this point recommending as an action to council. BSC says it's good to go, approve.
Good. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Okay. Thank you,
That's all
Councillor.
I had.
All right, so
Thank you, Your
reports,
Worship.
reports for information. Are there any questions on these reports that you wanted to ask anyone? Go ahead.
No, I just wanted, I know it's not on the list, but I wanted to make a few comments regarding the Deer Management
Oh,
Committee.
please do.
Okay, well, first off, the pellet group inventory, which is something we've repeated this year, has recently been completed, and I believe we're awaiting the report. Hopefully, it won't take as long as it did last year. But that is the department's way of establishing the urban herd count. We will also be undertaking locally to repeat the roadside count that we did last year. The roadside count is not dependent on time of year, so we can do that. Well, it's not dependent on time of year other than it should be done in the warmer months. So I will be setting up a schedule and seeking volunteers in that capacity, and hopefully we'll get that done sometime during the month of May or June. There has been a report that's been being circulated or sent to the department requesting a mitigation strategy, and we're awaiting a decision on that. And finally, and I don't know if this is an appropriate place for this, but last year we had a member that, a local citizen that applied to serve on the committee, and at the time there was no vacancy. So we since have had a vacancy. One of the members has moved out of the community, and we have a vacancy. The person that applied is still interested. I can say that she would be, I think she could provide valuable contribution, and that she's a member of the Yarmouth Garden Club, so could represent that large group at the committee table. So if it's appropriate, I would make a motion to appoint her to the Deer Management Committee, or do I have to wait till?
I would go through the committee of the whole.
Okay, I'll bring that up to the committee of the whole. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Well, that's good that we're moving. Go ahead.
Just, there was only one extra member that had or a person that had applied for that, or is it? Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on any reports or anything? Okay, so back on 11C, the budget, so it would appear, do you want to explain this? It would appear that we didn't, go ahead.
So I'm going to ask council for an additional motion related to the capital budget. So if you'll recall, back a few months ago, we had a request from the Yarmouth Golf and Curling Club for $300,000, $100,000 each of 3 years, and it was referred to budget, right? So we just approved the budget, but we don't have a clear motion that specifically says the council approves that contribution. So if you could formalize that, then we'll have it on the books that council approved that contribution.
The $100,000 times 3 years.
Times 3 years.
Okay,
Yeah. Your Worship, I'd happily make that move,
okay,
make that motion.
okay. Seconded by Councillor Bell. Hatfield, I'm calling you guys all different names. Councillor Lacroix, Councillor Bashir Lacroix, I get them all mixed up. Nobody minds. I'd rather call you by first names. Okay, so any questions on that one? We're good with that, and it's in the budget? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, so questions for committee chairs? Anything there? Nothing there? And then the mayor's report. I don't have a mayor's report, but I can fill a minute. I can fill a minute by saying one thing that the deputy mayor's going to help me with or add to it. We have the Sharon Assembly Church in a contest with the National Trust of Canada, which gives out nice size awards every year. And if we vote every day, we can bring that here. And we are the only one in Nova Scotia. So if nobody knows what that is, it's on East Street. It was formerly Disney Chapel and the Rose of Sharon Assembly. Gosh, it was right across the street from where I lived. I used to go in there once in a while. It held its first service in November 1877. Wow. It was originally established as an African Methodist Episcopal church. It's all the information is on the site. Do you want to say something about that, and then I'll finish up if you don't mind, because I know you're on the board there. And
Yep.
go ahead.
A recently formed board within the last year, Wanda Doucette, Kenny Fells, Chuck Smith, myself, Vanessa Fells, Melissa Fells, Brian Fells, Thomas Gabriel, and Tyrone Fells. The church is in dire need of fixing up the roof and the basement floods. So we were kind of directed to apply for this. This is the same one that the church in Meteghan, I believe, last year or the year before went, and they're actually helping us promote us as well. There's 12 or 13 different people trying to apply for this, and there's first place gets 50,000, second place gets 10,000, third place gets 5,000, and all you have to do is go to the Next Great Save. You enter your email address. You're sent an email to confirm. You can vote every 24 hours, and I'm happy to say that we're currently in third place. We were about 700 votes behind second place, and because the Premier and other people have shared, and various people, we're right around 200 votes out of second place at the moment. So I think Yarmouth is known for maybe being a little bit small as far as population, but big as far as our reach. And I really like to see a good push come out from us. And big thank you to the community and everyone who's sharing this and trying to push it out. And I can say that growing up in South End, I heard many stories about the Sharon Assembly, and although it's a historical black church, it's also known to have its doors open to anyone that wanted to come in. So the hope moving forward is to have a local black museum in there that highlights our local history, and also having a meeting place or in a community type center where you could serve meals and kind of the old mission that it used to be known as. And I know a lot of people, it's near and dear to their heart. So when they hear about this, they're very happy as well. And we did have a yard sale, a fundraiser a little while ago, and it was very well attended. And just thank you so much to the community that continues to push. I know a lot of counselors are sharing it every day, and the more we can do to get the word out there. And first place is probably 7,000 or 8,000 ahead of us, but I wouldn't say that's out of reach for Yarmouth either. So let's do our best to do what we can. We've got until 2 p.m. on the 17th, and any help we can do to push that out would be greatly appreciated. So thank you very much.
So that's a week from today.
Yep, let's go.
So we've got a week to show the rest of the country what we can do, and we can do it. I know you covered it. It says the dedicated board of directors is determined to breathe new life into this heritage property. Our heartfelt mission is to restore the church as a community hub that offers hot meals to combat food insecurity, and houses a museum to celebrate and preserve the profound history of Yarmouth's black community. I think when you say hub, that covers a whole lot. Together they strive to rekindle the legacy and hope and unity, ensuring the church continues to inspire and support future generations. So it goes from church to building to bringing everything together for the community. So you can go on. I know that the town Facebook page, Mike, we can make sure it's on the website as well. It probably is, just that link, because people want to help, and you're right, Deputy, they're sharing it away. And it's, the whole province, the whole country can vote for us. So we're really excited about that one. Go ahead, Councillor Lesser.
Thank you. The deputy and I were talking this afternoon as well that there's a bit of a glitch when you vote. It looks like you voted and it says you voted, but you have to go to your email and accept that. And the glitch is that it's going into a lot of junk folders or spam. So if anybody out there has voted and think it's gone through, if you could just double check. If you haven't done this step in the email, you haven't actually voted. And I think back of talking about the area and how we can vote on things. It's per email address, you can vote once a day. And I think of like back at Dwight Dion and how well we did with that. So if we can get all the people in Pimlico to support us like they did Dwight Dion, that would be, we'd do really well.
Thank you. Well, that's the mayor's report. Okay, so approval of invoices, please. Thank you, Deputy. Councillor Lesser. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And the date of the next meeting, it says May 8th. That's, yeah, no, I just didn't know if we had, did we have to move something because of, oh, the June meeting, okay, for FCN. Okay, do we have anything in camera? We do not. Okay, so motion to adjourn. Thank you. And we now have a water utility meeting, and Lindsay's just going to change everything over. What's that? Wade